4 a.m. I had to try to figure out what to do with myself for 5 hours. We're going back tonight afterwards, so it'd be good. Yeah, let me get rid of this. Jeff says I could chew gum up here, but I don't think so. So, okay, speak up so I can hear you. Okay. You know, when we evaluated him in high school, I can remember bringing his tape into the staff room at least 4 different times for everybody to watch it. You're making a decision, and he was like a blur. He really was. He had great initial quickness, uh, getting to the passer fast. So, he came to us as a freshman. That was that COVID year, spring. We didn't play in the fall. We played in the spring. And he started as a true freshman with two injured shoulders that both needed surgery at the end of the year. They had to be done at different times. And he missed the entire fall season. And he had a little bit of an injury bugaboo at times that would keep him off the field early in his career. And then our last year at JMU, the year before I came here, he played the entire season with no injuries, which was just fantastic. Came here in the spring, lit it up, and really for the first 80% of the fall was just lights out. So he's a great technician. He's an extremely smart guy. He's got really good explosive power, great initial quickness. He can run too. The guy's an athlete. He's an athlete, and he's got good football instincts. Yeah, he's full go. He's cleared. We'll manage him somewhat early in camp, but I expect him, to be out there. Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, we're keeping all options open. You want to put the best five guys on the field, so you've got a good competition over there on that. With Zen and Benson and some of those guys. And Benson's played both, but he's played more right tackle than Bob than anything. So we'll let it play out in camp.
And with Kyle, where is kind of his next step as a player?
At times he struggled when he had to slide inside the offensive tackle, and holding up, anchoring down in the run game. Now we try to keep him out of that situation as much as possible too. He's not 6'4", 290. So I think just consistency in performance. A lot of these college guys, uh, they flash, right, and then they get a little older and they flash more. And now this is it for him. And doing it day in, day out, play in, play out, game in, game out at a high level. Fast, physical, relentless, flying around.
Does the money that players are getting these days make it a little harder in terms of keeping team camaraderie, harmony among the team, and how do you go about making sure money doesn't become an issue where guys kind of looking at other guys' pockets and what
Yeah.
they get?
Well, I think word gets around what everybody's making, but I haven't seen that really affect the team dynamic up to this point. And I think at the end of the day, everybody wants to be as good a player as possible. We recruit a certain kind of guy, and then my job is again to bind the team goals. Um, so, I think in the locker room, everybody got a pretty good idea at their position, what the other guys make. But I haven't seen it affect the team dynamic.
So it's nothing you really, at this point, even worry about addressing how you deal with the team.
No, because they know what the goals are. They all know why they're here. They know what will be accepted, expected, tolerated, not tolerated. If they want to be on this team.
Curt, as the head coach, do you feel like you have to know what every player on the team is getting in terms of the revenue share and all
I
that?
decide that. I decide. I'm the GM and head coach.
Why did you keep it that way instead of maybe splitting it up?
Because I'm a control freak. No, I'm organized. I'm good with numbers. And look, this is my name's on this, right? I spent a lot of years to get to this point, and I'm the best one to do it. So, and I don't need to be in every single offensive staff meeting in the spring, you know, and I can pick my moments. You know what I mean? So I've got time to do it, or I'll make time to do it.
I heard you maybe asked this, but what like playoff strategy do you prefer?
Well, you know, in the Big Ten, we prefer the 4-4 EQ, and you know, I think objective football people tell you the Big Ten and the SEC are the two best conferences in football. And when you look at the Big Ten last year, the fourth place team at the end of the regular season was Ohio State. They won the national championship. So if that's not an argument for 4 EQs, I don't know what is.
I'm sure heard the schedule criticism at the end of the season last year. How did you internalize it? How did you face it? What were the players talking about?
I mean, you hear that noise and that clutter. Like the noise got real loud going into the Ohio State game. We went from being the darling story of college football, right, to being like the enemy, hunted. Like, you know, you had these two fronts, the biggest college reporting venue in the world, and a big conference down south. You're getting it from both sides. Like, they better play good or they're out, you know. And but then a couple SEC teams lost that night. But I felt really, I knew after Purdue, like we were in. It just matter who. And you know, I mean, we played who we played. We had the number one victory margin in college football, with number 2 in points scored, number 2 in total defense, number 3 in turnover ratio. So we did it in dominant fashion. It is what it is. It's over. Really, the focus is in on this team and developing this team. Well, that, you know, it's kind of like the SEC scheduling philosophy right now. To be honest with you, they got 12 to 16 teams playing G5 and FCS. So those 12 teams play 36 games, and they 29 are G5 opponents and 7 are FCS opponents. 75% of the conference. That's what they're doing, and they're playing one less league game. But you know, Scott, leadership, myself, you know, we'll keep a close eye on what's going on, the way the winds are blowing. You know, there's a lot of moving parts right now, and you know, we can be flexible and we can adjust. I mean, here's where I'm at, and this is where Tony's at, and the coaches in general in the Big Ten. You know, let's play 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5, championship weekend. Play it in, earn it on the field, right? 4-4. Tony's from playing Big Ten and SEC every year, one game. Every Big Ten team, every SEC team. Okay? So let's get uniformity in the schedule as we get moving forward, right? And take a lot of the decision making out of the committee's hands. And, but, you know, we'll see where we are because there's a lot of issues still in a lot of different areas.
Sure, I know you expect that schedule criticism from the SEC. Were you surprised to hear like Barry Odom is also last week kind of taking a shot at the non-conference schedule?
Barry Odom. I like Barry. Taking a shot at our schedule. Did I think about it? Not much, but that would be an overstatement.
An overstatement to say you didn't think about it too much.
Yeah, that I didn't think much of it, but that'd be an overstatement. Not that I didn't think much of it, like he should have done that. I saw it. It was a flicker in my brain, and it was over.
Considering the success of being both national title contestants last year, beating Nebraska and they beat Big 12 lunch. And yet, at the end of the year, there was still a lot of discussion
No, I thought we got good support from the Big Ten and the committee. The voices were from down south. You know, to me, it's all in the past. I think it's pretty unanimous. We deserve to be there. We were there. We could have played better once we got there.
If there's any difference between a Big Ten quarterback compared to, say, a quarterback in another conference, whether it's because of weather going into the later part of the schedule. Coach Bull said that you got to have quarterbacks with bigger hands because they can spin in the cold weather. Do you think there's any differences that you can notice with Big Ten quarterbacks?
Yeah, I really haven't thought about it. The first part of your question, difference between Big Ten and other conference, no, I think that'd be too big a generalization. I guess what you're getting at is cold weather quarterbacks. And there definitely are some quarterbacks more affected by cold weather or rain. And such usually goes to the end.
What is it about him? He seems to have an incredible motor. They have the job at times.
Yeah, I got that question when this started. That's all right. He's a really good athlete. He's an excellent technician. He's got great initial quickness. He's got explosive power and speed. He's really smart and intuitive. So you add those things together, combined with being a fourth or fifth year player. Uh, you have Cal Kamara, who can come off the edge and pressure quarterback, and it's a real problem for an offensive tackle in a one-on-one situation. Well, I mean, you're always taking the best prospect available to you. Now, there's a certain kind of guy that I just won't take. And, guys got to love ball and have some ankle knee hip flexibility, certain other weaknesses, right? And then habits are important. How bad do you want it? Who was his mentor growing up? Two parents, one parent, any, what kind of guys are you do when you grow? No, you got to roll and help him develop. He's got to be coachable too, right? So, I think we've done a good job of filling the organization with the right kind of people, coaches and players. And then this business is all about recruiting, development, and retention. And development is weight room, your speed program, flexibility program, nutrition, how you practice, the things you preach, you put in your head, your style of play. And we've done a good job of developing players, through the years.
On Aiden, he had mentioned around this time last year where, talking more, a little bit louder. At what point did you kind of tell him that he had these captain-like traits in off the field?
I don't know if I've ever told him that. And we've never chosen captains, ever.
You say tell, but like on those captain-like traits.
Yeah. No, I knew he had that stuff when the way Haynes talked about him near the end of our JMU time, or maybe in the middle of that season, or beginning of that season. Because we had two pretty good linebackers before he stepped in. And he stepped in for Torres Jones, who got hurt against Virginia. We beat Virginia. We lost both our linebackers within 5 plays. And he made a comment that he'd be better than Torres Jones. I was like, but you know what? I mean, and since then he's been quarterback on defense.
Would you say it's fair to say that Aiden is almost like an on-field version of Ryan Pierce?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, I think he's really prepared. He understands all the checks and adjustments, right? And he's prepared. He understands what the offenses are trying to do for the most part out of various sets. And, where he needs to be, how he's got to fit certain runs. Probably got a little more athleticism than Haynes had.
Coach, what did you learn about your team when you went to Ohio State that you moved forward and play better maybe in that type of game?
Yeah, we had to get better. I mean, we got whipped up front. we had some problems in that one end zone with the noise. So we had some miscommunication on pass pro. That's really where it all began. And but if you're going to go on the road and beat the big boys on the road, you got to be able to win the battle up front on offense and defense on the lines. So I think we'll be improved on the offensive line this year. I mean, they broke the 98-yard run, and really after that it was more, the quarterback in the pocket, our inability to tackle him, or his ability to just extend plays a little bit and find the check down and keep drives alive and stuff like that. And then, offensively, just not good. We did run the ball a little bit early in the game. We made a catch or two, and made a few catches in the second quarter. And, probably should have gone to 2-minute drills earlier in the game in the fourth quarter. Hindsight's 2020. Hunter was awful. And they played well. We didn't play well, and they beat us. Now you got to be careful. Like I learned early in my head coaching career, like we lost a really tough game my first year as a head coach. Slippery rock. You ever hear of slippery rock? And like I just couldn't let it go. Couldn't let it go. And it hurt us the next couple of weeks too. You can't let this one hurt you. Heading into it's over. You file the lessons away, learn and grow from it.
Kurt, when you look at a receiver like Jeremiah Smith, who got a chance to work against him last year, how do you cover a talent like that, or any star?
Well, you cover them as first of all, if you're in man coverage, I guess is what you're asking. The press, cover them as well as you can. Hope the ball is, not placed very well. I mean, he's a freak. He's a great player. I mean, he's the greatest at that position I've seen at that age. I mean, he's a weapon.
Did you coach Julio?
I coached Julio. Yes. Julio was also a great player.
Julio Jones of Alabama.
At Alabama, yes, I coached him.
Similar type.
Very similar. This guy's a little looser, more flexible, I think. Maybe a hair faster.
What are your results? Before you came in, you never had a consistent $1 million. Now you do. Support from an institutional level is improving. What has that done to give you the opportunity players in your team opportunity for sustained success?
It's the best conference in football. We want to be the best. And, to stay on that trajectory, these are the kind of things you got to do. You got to be able to keep key people. And I really give Scott and President Whitten a lot of credit for providing the resources and funds to keep coordinators away from the blue bloods and strength and conditioning coaches. And because, those are key people for me that have been with me a long time. They were hard to replace. And when you do replace them, there's a blip. There's a blip. And so it's important.
Coach, you made that statement at the podium about the biggest alumni except Texas. Is that how?
Yeah, number 2 alumni base next to Texas. I believe Penn State's 3.
So
now that includes the satellite campuses in the state of Indiana.
But so you energized them by just having those 11 wins. I mean, it was there. Potential was always there, but it's never been energized, maybe.
Oh yeah, I mean they were over the top. A lot of them NIL potential there, Scott. A lot of people. If Ted, Frank Howard, I pay 10 a year. Yeah. Well.
Last year, when you guys started winning, started getting sellouts in the towns, lots of big ones take off, can't get all that. What do you feel the opportunity is for that atmosphere? I mean, it's all season long.
That's what you want. That's what you want. That's what I expect. Expect to prepare this team to be the best and have that kind of atmosphere.
What has changed in these couple of years? Is there maybe a catch-all system-wide that you'd like to see that a couple of years out for your staff? Is
calendar, assistant coaches, trail, like what would make recruiting go smooth for you guys?
Well, I mean, recruiting's changed a lot. It's changed a lot.
Learning a lot about really just have to like speak,
And
think for myself, kind of see
there's
some of
a
the habits I have. I love Curt. I love Curt.
tied up, and I'm putting my confidence in the commissioners and ADs. You know, get that next.
It's more difficult to recruit than it was maybe 10 years ago, but how things have changed in that regard.
I mean, if you got the money, it's gone. But if you got $1 and the other guy's got $15 in his,
Curt, I had a question about Wisconsin suing Miami over player tampering. I'm not asking you specifically about that situation, but are you in favor of more potential punishment or the ability to kind of crack down on player tampering?
oh yeah, player tampering, absolutely. And that I think that's a contract issue where a guy had signed a contract.
Correct.
So you know, we're all hoping that once we sign these contracts, they can hold water. And tampering, there's a big difference between inadvertent phone call and calling a guy multiple times this spring and offering him $800,000. That's tampering. For $1.5 million, which I had happen this spring.
Coach, as your director of athletics, has he told you the percentage that might be directed towards the football team, the revenue
Well, I
sharing?
know what our number is,
You know what the number
but
is?
I'm not. I can't.
No, I would, Coach. I don't want to get you in
I
trouble
think the
from all these
percentage
people.
in general in the league, is mid-60s, low 70s in general, roughly.
When you mentioned the 1.5 million figure, pulling it out to a degree, why not get more specific and say this program, this coach, this whatever? If you want it cleaned up, why not hold accountable by name publicly and say exactly what it was?
Yeah, well, you could have done that. But right now, I've been totally led to believe there's a new sheriff in town that's going to enforce his stuff post July 1, and I trust the people that I do.
With the CSC, Coach Day was talking about that there's been some deals for Ohio State players that were denied or that they took too long to get back. Therefore, players missed out on some money. Has Indiana had any players denied deals, or that the CSC just took too long?
I can't answer that question. I mean, I can tell you what every guy on my team makes, but I don't get a daily update on their NIL deals. We've been kind of working from the premise early on that this NIL go would go and the rev share would be sort of the equalizer, and that would be your biggest plus goal. Now as things change, we adjust. Yeah, really mobile, can extend plays, can make all the throws, and so different than Curtis in that regard. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Incredible spacing, I thought, among the pass rounds last year, and see you really open things up for just schematic as much as athletic ability. In what ways can you help, or you can enhance that even more than what Fernando is able to do with what you're able to see now?
Well, I think you always build around the quarterback and his strengths and your personnel. And so I thought Curtis did a great job of finding the open guy and going through the progression and throwing the very catch of the ball. And Fernando's got a stronger arm, and he's more mobile. So see how it plays out on the field.
Coach, a linebacker, we obviously lost Caleb Walker. How confident are you in whether it's Elijah Hardy or Isaiah Jones to kind of fill that role alongside Aiden?
I think Ro Hardy's a top line guy. And, he finished the season, last half of the season, he was the next linebacker in 12 personnel, and a lot of confidence in Jones also.
Seek out the right transfer quarterback to that position with everything that goes on between the years of that position in such a short amount of time.
Well, not every guy commits that. Mendoza didn't. So, you have time to evaluate. And usually when a guy jumps in the portal and chooses a school, it's not second, right?
There's a lot of talk last week at SEC Media Days, a lot of headlines, name possibility of Nick returning as one of his former. You have thoughts on the possibility of Nick returning to the side?
I'd be surprised by that.
One.
I think he made his decision, on how he was going to proceed and all that. But I guess anything's possible. But I don't see that.
It's like how Madrid with Indiana versus a year ago. Not so much with the portal, but really like high school recruiting. Kind of, what do the players think?
Well, I think it certainly has opened more doors, there's no doubt about it. But look, we got to keep progressing, getting better. Our infrastructure needs to improve. And I mean, ultimately, you got to be able to win battles occasionally against, Oregon and Tennessee and Florida and those people. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we did win a few of those, but we've done some nice enhancements here in the off season. We've rebranded the indoor, new turf on the stadium, rebranded the coaches' offices, and we'll do more moving forward. Recruiting, development, retention.
Coach.
The number one thing I was most pleased about postseason, we didn't lose a single player. We wanted to keep him. We retained all of them, 100%.
What have you noticed as the biggest or most important difference between this year's team and last year's team?
It's too early to answer that question.
Anything else coming up? Or stadium?
No, because now the focus is on the season and starting out talk.
I'm in like next year.
Yeah, right. No, I mean he's got a bucket list, and he walks in and says, "What will you?" Down the road, that stadium's got to look a lot different than it looks right now. And before I retire, that press box has to come down. Anything else?
Brought up the satellite campuses.
They can still come to the games, but that's not my job again, other than to be successful.
My next question for you is the addition of 4 West Coast teams. Has West Coast travel been
Didn't affect us against UCLA. I sure would like to play that West Coast team at home around 12 o'clock.
Prevalence of high school team coast to coast. Is that like pressure that players face with response to the
I'm not sure that I'm the person to ask that question to, but I think it's got to be on your radar. It's a possibility, and I mean, it's happened in the past. Guys have gone to jail, and keep being naive and have our head in the sand. Yeah, Knighton will be back ready to go, and Sharp and Gandy and Jalen Bell are the primary corner candidates, with Sharp being right now the projected starter. Knighton working in the boundary a little bit more, but we evaluate him daily. And, do what gives us the best chance.
The fundamentals you guys played with on defense, sometimes it's hard for a program. You brought guys with you to play. The fundamentals sound as good. How do you delegate to make that happen? Sometimes you train guys to do it right way. It takes sometimes years to get.
I think Fisher, Carpenter, Jalen Walker, Amara, Hans played a big role in that. And then the other guys are similar. It wasn't always perfect, but there were a lot of good moments.
Coach, how do you go from building and establishing a culture of disaster to having improving on that next year and as the years go on?
I mean, you got your process, your plan, put the right people in the organization, create an environment where they can thrive, day-to-day plan on how they develop their full potential. potential in other areas at the time of program success. Set high standards and never lower your standards. As you get better, you got to recruit better, so you got to improve more.
Coach, your players today were talking about making sure you get extra reps after practice. Some of the younger guys who started from with them. How does it make you feel as a coach knowing that most of your team is wanting to get these extra reps, even in their own spare time?
Yeah, that's great to hear. But more's not always more. Rest and recovery is important too. We got one guy out for about 10 days because he was doing some extra stuff and it was too much. So, but it's great to hear that. It tells you they want to be as good as they can be.
Two more questions. I'm gonna catch a flight. Do you think there's any internal validation about trying to prove last year wasn't
I mean, this is a new year, new team, right? And we're trying to build a program that year in, year out competes for Big Ten championships, college football playoff, ultimately a national championship. That's our vision.
How much scouting have you done on the other teams in the Big Ten in the course of the spring, summer, just on the side?
The teams that we're going to play, a lot. And the teams that are not in the Big Ten.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.